But now, let's start with Anders Jensen. He's the Executive Director of EuroHPC JU. Well, dear Anders, the last 12 months were very busy for the joint undertaking. The mandate has been expanded. So please tell us how the JU is supporting Europe's digital sovereignty in AI, HPC, and quantum computing. Please.
Thanks a lot, Eric. And yes, you are right. This is becoming a bit of a tradition. For those of you that's been here before, you'll also see that I reused the slides, from previous years, but hopefully with some updates. So let's get right to it. It has been another busy year. Essentially, just for those of you that are not aware who EuroHPC is, we're an EU body that has been specifically set up to implement Commission policy together with member states on HPC, quantum, and AI. We're one of the few agencies or EU bodies whose mandate keeps on evolving. Normally, a body is funded for a 7-year period within what we call the multi-annual financial framework, and this is how EU institutions are funded and has a mandate for that funding. We have managed to have our mandate updated 3 times, which we should all be proud of because it means the relevance is there and we've been given extra tasks, but of course it also means that there's work to be done. We're getting to the end of the current MFF. It will end at the end of 27. And so there should be a new mandate and fresh money coming. Exactly how much and exactly what the mandate is, don't even ask the question because that's not my remit. But it is, I'm very happy to say, the discussions have started. So maybe if I get invited back next year, maybe we'll be able to tell a bit more about what's next. All I can tell you about is what's next, which is the next 12 months. But trust me, that's going to be exciting enough. I think if you've seen this slide before, and many of you probably have, the one thing that is worth noting is the money went up because we've been given 2 extra tasks, and I'll get back to that, and associated funds for that. So whilst we used to say the budget was 7 billion, well, we've added an extra billion to that. Of course, the reason we say that it's 7 billion is because the rule of thumb, we're a joint undertaking. Every time we spend €1, someone else spends €1. And this is really the power of this type of organization. And we've been, I think, very successful on the infrastructure side with that setup. So the 2 new pillars that we were given as of early this year was quantum technologies and AI gigafactories. And I'll get back to them, but just to, so we were already in charge of the implementation of quantum computing within the JU, and we've spent the last years providing that infrastructure, and we'll have a breaking news announcement. You're going to be the first ones to see it later in a later slide because the team in the back are absolutely fantastic. We were asked to upload our presentation 2 weeks before. We managed to do it 30 minutes before. And it is confirmed that it is that presentation. But what was done with quantum technologies is the things that goes beyond quantum computing was also given for the JU to implement. So here we're talking about quantum sensing, we're talking about quantum communications, etc. And all of that, we are now in discussions in the governing board on what that means and how we're going to do this. There was a lot of initiatives within the Commission, mainly around the quantum flagship, and the implementation of that has now been given to EuroHPC. Gigafactories, I'll get back to, but there's no question that will be something that I'm sure there'll be something to announce 12 months from now if I'm invited back. So just very quickly, as I said, I reused the slides just to remind everyone, we're funded for 7 years and we have a mission for 7 years. And basically, one of the missions was get Europe on to exascale. And you can say, job done with JUPITER. We managed to do that. And we also have Alice Recoque coming. this is probably at this point in time our most important project, because not only are we looking to get to exascale, but we're also looking to further have a further European technology footprint. We already managed more than we had envisaged in JUPITER, but we're looking to go even further on Alice Recoque. I would just, if I go back one, we had to update the slide because I'm sure not only to my surprise, but to others' surprise, we had a new entry at the top of the top 500. And I must admit, I really welcome that. Because first of all, I think it's great to have China represented on the list again, but also it reminds us that we're not done with exascale. We need to continue to invest. You can say we're done within the mandate we have, but this, I think, is a wake-up call for the next MFF to remember that no, we have to continue to grow, and I'm sure this got attention around, at least in Brussels. So just reminding everyone, I'm not going to go through this, but in the space of the last of the years that the joint undertaking has existed, we've managed to bring the 3 pre-exas online and serve science, and of course we have all of these. Not small, but smaller. They're not small by any means, but we refer to them as our mid-range and petascale machines. And we continue to bring machines online. We have Daedalus in Greece, and we have Caspia in Ireland, and Levente in Hungary that are ongoing. And then, of course, I've already mentioned Alice Recoque. The whole point is to continue to expand the ecosystem. One of the things that's quite interesting, if we look at our petascale systems, is we're now getting to the end of the mandate. That actually also means the machines we started buying are actually getting closer to the end of life. It's actually a little sad to see that we may have machines leaving us. We've kept on expanding the fleet, but we may actually we will end up at a point where we're going to have to retire some of these machines. And the only thing I really hope all of them are replaced with others, because I don't want to see the number go down. So what we added on top is, and it was one of the things that the user community really came back and said, look, it's all well and good that you have all of these machines. They're all run by top-tier hosting centers, but each of the hosting centers does things in their own way. And that's correct, because they all have their background and needed to fit into the infrastructure that they have locally. So what we've invested in is a federation platform that we're putting on top. Call it an umbrella across all of the systems in order to ease the user access, basically common logins, common ways of doing things to the extent that it's possible, and you will see us evolving that over time. And it is live, and I know that there was a presentation, I think, yesterday on the topic. At the same time, we're working with Jensen for what we call hyperconnectivity. So this is upgrading all of the links between our computers, but also to the centers that are accessing them. Then AI factories. This was the big thing in 2015-16. We at record speed we had a change of the mandate. Go implement AI factories. We have selected no less than 19 AI factories across Europe. And 16 of them, we're going to be building new machines. Others, we just looked at the machines and said, look, these are perfect for AI, and are using them as AI factories. Associated with the actual machines, we also have the concept of AI antennas, which are countries. So the way the EuroHPC regulation works, you have to be a member state in order to host a machine. But the participating states, as we call all of our members, is way beyond just the member states of the EU. So if you are not able to host a machine, countries that were not able to host a machine could become an antenna on an existing machine. Now, we're going to have presentations on the AI factories, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but the main thing in and around the AI factories and AI antennas is we're catering for a user community that's different from the user community of our traditional supercomputers. And that also meant we had to be realistic that this user community needed a lot more care and help. So the AI factories are not just machines, they are a set of services around them to make sure that the user community is able to use these machines successfully. So, maybe there's just one thing worth noting on this. One of the things in and around the AI factories is that I think we all realize that AI is about data, and it's about domain knowledge. So each of the AI factories have had to select the areas in which they feel that they wish to build up domain competence. If you go to our website, you'll be able to see a detailed layout of which AI factories are serving which domain areas. And should you be sitting there looking to apply, you do not need to use the AI factory that is in your country. By no means. You may actually want to have a look at where they have the domain knowledge that you're looking to exploit. Because again, all of our machines, the way it works is the joint undertaking has funded usually half of the machine, another consortium the other half, and we split the access time. So the joint undertaking controls half of the access time, and we have a team in Luxembourg that leads the process of selecting who gets access to the joint undertaking's time on each of the machines. And this is not dependent on you being in the country where the machine is, by no means. Anyone who is eligible for Horizon Europe grants is eligible to ask for access on our machines, and it's a peer review process to get there. What the countries that have funded the other side do with their time is absolutely none of my business. So if we look at the procurements that's ongoing, these are the new systems we're bringing online, and what we're doing with the AI factories is we're targeting hardware or systems that caters for AI. So we're taking into account that we want to get as much AI for the money. And so some of these systems, you'll see them not having high precision math, for instance, because that's not why we bought them. Some of them do. We'll skip that. So on the JU side, what we do is we give access to any user community within the Horizon Europe countries. And you'll find details up on our website, but keep in mind this is free of charge. We've tried to, for the AI access, we've tried to simplify the process as much as possible because, again, we're realistic about the fact that the user communities for the AI factories are not our traditional supercomputing users. We have a long tradition in Europe on how scientists are accessing and have been accessing also national supercomputers. They're used to a rigorous peer review process, and we took that on as, for Europe, Praise spent a lot of time building up a process. We borrowed that process with pride, and we've extended it into our world for the classical supercomputers. For the AI, we went down a different approach, and we really said, okay, we need fast access. We need from someone requesting access to them getting access. This needed to be as short as possible. When I think it's important for me to let you know that the joint undertaking, aside from the fact that we are now 54 staff, it's not the 54 staff. It's the community around the joint undertaking. It's our hosting sites. We're all working together to make this happen. And especially for the AI factories, in order to achieve this, we had to basically go to the hosting site and say, look, we need your help. There's no way we can, also because they are the ones with the domain knowledge. And I was really pleased to see the good collaboration that we ended up having on that. And the process is actually running very, very smoothly. And more details up on our website on how to do this. We still, of course, have the traditional access to HPC where and in all fairness, it's a lot more resources we're looking at when we're compared to the AI access that you get. And therefore, we're still going through a rigorous peer review process, inspired by what you're used to from praise and the past. And we have set up scientific panels and have a process in which we take in your requests or your proposals. They get peer reviewed, and we publish lists on the lucky winners. We are heavily oversubscribed on all systems, which again I think is good news, because it first of all means there's a lot of interest. It also means there's a lot of good science happening in Europe, and it does emphasize that we need to continue to invest in infrastructure. So, late-breaking news, gigafactories. We're not going to spend a lot of time on it because it is still under significant discussion within our governing board. And what you will see, the plan at the moment is that we will release a call text mid-July. That's what we're working to. And I have every expectation that that is what's going to happen. We're purposely being very rigorous about the communication around this because it will be a procurement. So we need to, and I'm very sure that this is a procurement that will be interesting for a much broader industry than our normal suspects in the HPC area. And therefore, we need to make sure that everyone is equally informed and that we do this by the book. So, but what we're aiming at policy-wise is the aim with the gigafactories is to have AI facilities available across Europe, European-controlled, that are beyond the size of our current AI factories. And basically, the yardstick, we have JUPITER, and what we're aiming at is 3 to 4 times the capacity of that. And the way it's going to work, it's going to be different from everything we've done before, because we want this time we will also be partnering with member states or participating states as normal, but we really want industry to have a very significant involvement in the gigafactories. We're going to be looking for a consortium that will want to build up these large, or one or more of these AI facilities in Europe, and build them up for the purposes of serving industry as a paid service, and in return for them doing this, we will become a very loyal customer. So we are guaranteeing to buy time, so hopefully that will help incentivize the construction of these. We will be a customer of these future gigafactories once they are operational. And again, the time that we buy, we will then make available under similar conditions as we do for our normal supercomputers. But it's important for me to emphasize the aim here is to find a consortium, and consortia, because we will need multiple of them, that will look to build up a business. So this is not buying infrastructure. What we are doing, we are becoming a customer of a business. So you will also see when we come out with the call, emphasis will be on the consortia to demonstrate that they have a viable business plan for bringing this up. The whole intention here is that once 5 years down the road, we are no longer having a contract with this, maybe we will still renew, who knows? But at the end of this, without a contract from the JU, this should be a sustainable thing that serves Europe and continues to serve industry. And this is why this one is very different from when we buy our normal supercomputers, and it's going to be really interesting to do. On the quantum side, this was one of the missions we were given the first time our regulation was changed. You know, why don't you do for HPC what you did for quantum what you've done for HPC? And we were given that at a time where I think it's fair to say there was a lot of skepticism about whether this was possible, because the whole point was you need to go procure systems. It's been a fantastic journey. It's also been a little tough, and I will be the first to admit that it took much longer than I think anyone anticipated. But I think, again, looking back at it, I'm very proud because I think we actually managed to activate an industry that needed to start thinking about the next steps. This is no longer a lab experiment. This needs to be a productized product. On occasion, you had some people that thought quantum computers could be bought on Amazon, at the actual computer, not the compute time. So I think there was maybe sometimes a bit of an ambition about this. This was more mature than we thought. But over the time, we now have 6 of them inaugurated. We have 2 more coming. And Eric has stood up. That means I'm out of time, but I need to get to the breaking news. So we'll get there. So I've shown this slide before. What we set out to do is basically there were at the time we were evaluating this, there were 6 technologies that seemed to be viable to be productized. We bought one of each, and we're currently in the process of acquiring 2 more because there was other technologies that became available. This is the breaking news. As of right now, you're the first ones to hear this. Access is now open to our quantum computers. So if you go up on our website now, you can apply for access to our HPC systems, we have now opened access that you can apply to have access to our quantum computers. And I really want to thank the hosting entities that are doing this, because we all know that this is going to come with challenges. As anything else, when we do things for the first time, we have to learn. Bear with us, but please go up and use it. This is available, again, to all of Europe. You don't need to be in Poland to get access to his quantum computer, okay? And with that, I'm going to cut it. I've just been cut. So, yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Anders. Great news. So, more to come in Dublin on the EuroHPC user days.